Welcome to Exploring Joy, hashtag Faith Journal July 2025. I'm Diane from Faithart Design Studio. I am one of the co-founders with Debbie Wallbank of the Exploring Joy July Challenge, and I am the guest artist for today, which is Thursday, July 10th. The guest artist we had originally had a family emergency and was not able to make her video. So I decided I will be happy to step in and do that. And the first that we're going to be talking about today is Matthew 13:44. And that verse actually says, "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field." Wow. So this is one of the parables in this chapter of Matthew. It's one of 7 parables that Jesus is telling the disciples. And to be honest, I never really understood it. And that's what's so great about this Exploring Joy journey, is that verses I may have heard, verses I thought I knew, when I'm called upon in the challenge to basically look up the verse, do some research, really go deep and find out who said it, why did they say it, what did they say before the verse, what was after the verse, to try and really gain a better understanding. And so what I have found is some really, really good information that I'm going to be sharing with you. And because I'm the guest artist, I want to teach you something fun to make. And because we're talking about the kingdom of heaven is treasure, my head went to, if something's a treasure, I want to kind of set it apart and show that it's a treasure, right? So how could I do that in my junk journal? And I think you're going to be really excited. So I went back in my mind to something that I saw and then I made 2 different times. And I have a video for this one and for the other one. So I've made this twice. Now, where did this idea come from? I love to share where I found something because this is not my creation. This is our lovely Natasha from, what's the name of her channel? Treasure Books. Is that not perfect that we're talking about the kingdom of heaven is like treasure? And I'm going to show you something from Natasha at Treasure Books. Yes, there's no coincidences in that, right? Well, she made this quite a few months ago, actually. Yeah, way long ago, because this is from January. So she must have made it early part of January. And when I watched her video, I got so excited. And I'll be honest with you, it swept the internet. So if you do not follow Natasha at Treasure Books, the link is in my description here, and I highly encourage you to do that. Here's why I love Natasha. Natasha basically doesn't even really use digitals. She uses some scrapbook paper, but she really uses junk, but she makes treasure out of it. So she turns junk into treasure, and I love the name of her book. But every week, she only does 1 video a week. They're always on Saturdays. And she is the most creative woman. She thinks of things. So all these ideas that she comes up with are hers. In fact, I don't think in a year that I've been following her, I've ever heard her say she found this idea from somebody else. So they're all her ideas. Well, what was this one? And she didn't even know what to call it. What did she actually end up saying? Hold on 1 second. I wrote it down. Her video is called "Time for Something New in the Junk Journal World." That's all she called it. I think in the video she even says, I have no idea what to call this. So I call it like the 7-part flip. Let's see, whatever we're going to call it. What is it, Diane? Well, look how cute this little thing is. Isn't that pretty? Wait till you see how this works. You have to move it down here. So you push that up, and then you turn it over, and it opens up. And so I put all my notes for, this is Junk Journal January. This is day 29. The prompt was reveal, which that's why I made this, because wait till you see how you reveal stuff, right? So then you flip it up again. You flip it over. Here's more of my information. Flip it up, flip it over. There's more things. Flip it up, flip it over. See how fun this is? And then I put all my notes for reveal, right? Okay, and one more, and look at this. One more, and then I put reveal in the middle. Was that not like really cool? I'm going to show you how to make this. This is so much fun. Okay, so you just go over and then come down, go over, come down, go over, come down, go over, come, whoop, whoop, whoop. I forgot something, giant. Go over, come down, go over, come down, go over. What was I talking about? I was just thinking, what did I do there? Okay, isn't that beautiful? So that's in my, and the video is linked in my description. This is from Junk Journal January. Well, then I decided to do it again, and I did it in this is my Soulful Spaces series. And I'll be honest, I got so busy making some stuff that I have not published any videos for this journal. What is this journal? Soulful Spaces for me was I wanted to just put in all the fun things that I find and I make from other people. And so that it would be like a treasure book, like, or a how-to book. That's what the point of this one was. So here's another one. So this one, I used the word faithful and flip that up. There was the Psalm 23:4. So this is where I'm just adding faith-based ephemera, which of course are from all my kits, right? And you flip that over. And even though you use page, book page, doesn't matter if it's upside down, right? Flip it over, draw near to God, flip it over, open it up. There's grace. Now we have the word fragile. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And we flip that up and we open it up. And Jesus is my rock and my redeemer. And there's one more, and it was give thanks, peace, love, Jesus. Now this one's really fun. You actually want to go watch this video. Why do you want to watch this video? Is because this is a paper napkin. And this was a 13 by 13 paper napkin that I coffee dyed. I ironed it to freezer paper and I coffee dyed the back. There's a whole video on that, so go watch it, okay? Now, the other thing I learned from this one is I used double-sided scrapbook paper and it was really kind of heavy duty, and so this one was actually kind of hard to get the pages to really fold as nice as you want to. So, isn't that gorgeous? And so, isn't that perfect to house all of the information that we're going to talk about in this parable of that the kingdom of heaven is a treasure. Okay, let me set aside my camera and then we will get started. So, let me get my notes out real quick. Now, I strongly suggest doing this. This is what I do when I watch somebody's video and I learn how to make something. I actually make it out of just regular paper and I keep it and I keep my notes to it so that I can figure out how to do it again, because of course it's been a couple of months since I did this. So I'd go get my notes out. Now, one of the things that Natasha did in her video was she said, I don't want to measure anything. Okay, well, that worked for Natasha, didn't kind of work for Diane. So what Diane decided to do was I kind of started with what's the biggest piece of paper that I wanted to start with. And the one of the examples that I just showed you, I had a 13 by 13 paper. So I could do a 9.5 by 12 because, excuse me, what you really want is you want a vertical sized paper. Okay, so you want their height to be in the vertical, and then the width is only going to be, whatever. Now, the example that I showed you was actually 6. I'm only going to do 5 for the Exploring Joy Journal. I'm going to start with 8.5 by 11. Why am I starting there? Because it's like really simple, right? Because that's the size of a paper, and you want it printed on both sides. Okay, so this is for my Rejoice Rhapsody kit. So I just printed it on both sides. Okay, and so I'm going to give you the dimensions. They're going to be right on the screen right now. So if you want to start and have a 6 layer, it would be 9.5 by 12, would be an 8.5 by 11, a 7.5 by 10, 6.5 by 9, 5.5 by 8 and 4.5 by 7. If you will notice, I went down an inch on every one. Okay. So from 9.5 to 8.5, 12 to 11, 11 to 10. So that was just the simplest way for me to do it. So just get some, um, copy paper out. Okay. Get some copy paper out and just go ahead and do the folds. Now let me teach you the folds because the folds are really fun. You need your bone folder, okay? And what we're going to do first, see, I wrote it down, okay? So the first fold we're going to do is we're going to do a vertical fold. We are going to make it across there. So you want to line up your edges and go ahead and crease. Why do you want to use a bone folder? You might say, well, my hand works fine. Well, actually, it doesn't really work fine for this because you need a really, really crisp fold, okay? So we've got that folded, and I did print this on matte photo paper. That's why it looks so beautiful. Okay, so you open it back up, and then you pull the top down, okay, and line that up. Get all your pieces lined up. And we're going to crease that like that, okay? So you're going to open it back up. You're going to go over here, and you're going to fold it down. If you noticed, they all fold. The horizontal fold is at the top, okay, and the vertical fold is to the left, okay. So you would go up, right, and over. See how we're going to do that? Okay, so there's our first one. So you basically fold all these. Now I've already cut them, okay. You didn't need to see me cutting on the camera. Okay, so the next one, what do? We go the vertical fold first. Hopefully I cut these straight. Okay, well, it's not totally straight, but it's okay. It still will work. Okay, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to open it back up. Fold from the top down. Okay. Because basically you're training your paper. That's what we're doing in this. Okay. So you're going to go open it back up. Now you got your folds. Now go back to the horizontal over and the top down. Okay, and once you get that, you can see what I'm doing is I'm making sure it's all matched up. Use your bone folder and get really good creases. Okay, and then as you lay them on here, you'll see how they just fit on there so well. Okay, so here we go again. I cut this one down, of course. See how simple this is? Okay, open it back up. In fact, actually, you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do like that on this kind of scrapbook paper. I mean, this matte photo paper. Okay. We open it back up. We come back over here, and now we fold it back down. Okay. And that goes there. And then the next one is this, which I used from my hymnal, which I was so happy that I had one that was the right size. I have a smaller one, but it was too small. Okay, so we folded that. Now we're going to come over here. So in the comments, let me know, have you ever made this? Did you ever watch this video? If you made it, do you have any little tips to share with people? This is such a simple but highly beautiful piece. Look how nice they're all lining up. And in the comments, let me know. Okay, we're in our second week of our Exploring Joy journey. I will tell you, if you're not part of the Facebook group, you're missing out. What are you missing out on? You're missing out on the community. And the community has just received this study so amazingly. And so many people are just sharing how this study is really impacting them. It's transforming them. That's what Debbie and my whole goal was all about. See how pretty that is? Okay. So there we go. There's our whole thing. Now I have to show you how to Yeah, what do see how to glue. Okay, now I have to remember how to glue. Okay, we're gonna set these off and put this over there. Okay, I think I remember how to glue. It's just this one section gets glued onto there, right? Because it's gonna go up there and open up, correct? Okay, so you put your first one down. And again, I'm going to make sure. See, it's kind of like popping up. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do that reverse and just really crease this paper well. There we go. I think that was the thing to do. And because it's double-sided, I could do this any way I want, can't I? Look, I just totally changed it. Okay, I sure did. Okay. Yes, you know what? Make sure that you fold it and then opposite fold it. It's the only other word I can think of. Okay, so this will flip up, right? So this one, the top, we are only going to put the glue on this one section. Okay. Because it only gets glued in one spot. So you want to put your, now this is just by looking at it, right? Hopefully that's approximately where you want it. There we go. Okay. And then the next one comes over. And we did the reverse on this, so we're okay. Okay, so it's going to be this one little panel right here. So I'm going to turn that over. And then we will put this. Okay, so one of the secrets is you open it to put the glue on it, and then you kind of close it so that you can lay it on there. And you're constantly using the bone folder to make sure that it lays nice. Okay, so we're going to open that so that we can just put the glue on that piece. We'll close it back so that I can hopefully lay it on here correct. And then we have our last piece. Okay, let's wait, Diane. Am I doing it right? It's this piece. Yeah, there it is, that piece. Okay. And we've got that. Okay, look, it's all done. How beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna, this is gonna flip up, flip over, and you pull this up, and you pull this over, and you go up, right, and over, and up, and over, and up, and over. And only this piece is what will get glued onto my page. Okay. So now the next part is going to be, what are we going to put in here? Oops, there we go. Okay, there's our 5. 1, 2, 3. I did 5, correct. Okay, let me get my information out so I can. I think what I'm going to do is I went to Canva again and I typed in everything that I learned. So that, of course, it's on a clear sticker paper. This will be very simple to put into this because don't forget I have to do it for the Poppy book too. So let's look at some of the things that I learned. The first thing that we talk about here is that it says the kingdom of heaven, right? And hold on, there's a place. Okay. The kingdom of heaven is the same as the kingdom of God, and it's the same as the kingdom of Christ. So all three of these refer to the same, quote, spiritual place. Okay. And it talks about that the kingdom of heaven is a treasure. So I did treasure in 3 different fonts because I just wanted to do that. Okay, so there's 3 points about this verse that I think is really important. Number 1, what is the treasure? Okay, so the treasure is the kingdom of heaven. And then it talks about A man found and covered up, and in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. What's talking about there's a sacrifice, right? Because he sells everything that he has to buy the treasure. Well, what does that really mean? It demonstrates the kingdom of heaven is worth far more than anything else. So sell whatever you have because it's all will mean nothing, right? And then the third part of this verse is the outcome. It's the joy. And guess what? That joy is not a reluctant choice, but it's actually a joyous response to the discovery of something incredibly valuable. Did you get all that? So it's the treasure, the sacrifice, and the joy. Okay. And then I found, let's see, I got so much stuff. Okay, let's talk about the history because I didn't understand why would somebody bury treasure in a field? What the heck is that about? Well, of course, because I don't live in those times. There were no banks. If there's no banks and you have wealth, how are you going to keep it from people stealing it from you? Well, in those days, excuse me, if you had land, you would dig a hole and you would bury it there. Now, it was very common to hide money and valuables in the ground because there was no banks. So that's what I wrote the history here, right? I found this on BibleRef.com. And then here's kind of the laws and the way that all worked for people is that anything buried that is found by somebody else, let's say your dad bought this piece of land and he's dead and he gave it to you and he forgot to tell you that he buried stuff there. So you just tell your friend says, can I use a piece of land? You go, yeah, go ahead. It's nothing to me. It doesn't mean anything. Well, he goes and he starts digging because he wants to build something and he finds the treasure. Who does the treasure belong to? Guess what? It belongs to the person that owns the land. So it still belongs to me through my dad. Okay. Now, if I were to say, my friend comes to me and says, well, I want to buy some land. Can I buy your piece of land? And again, I don't know that my dad buried treasure there. So I just sell it to my friend. Well, guess what? If I sell it to him, anything that's buried now belongs to him. Okay. So I thought that history was really important to understand why it would be there, number one, and then whose is it? Okay. But then we have to go to this part. Now, over on blueletterbible.org, and if you go to David Gusik's commentary, what you find is what it's a parable, right? So when you're talking about parables, they're talking about something, but it means something else, right? So what David Guzik tells us is that the field represents the whole world. Okay. Now, who Jesus is the man who gave all that he had to buy that field. Now, you get the symbolism now. You get why this is important? Because that treasure is so wonderful that Jesus gave everything to redeem the whole world, to preserve the treasure. And what is the treasure in this thinking? It's his people. He died on a cross for us to redeem us. That's what that really means. Okay, another thing that I got out of here was the point of selling everything in this parable. Guess what? There is a point, but it was simply to show where your heart is. Remember the other parable where Jesus tells the rich young man, well, go ahead and sell everything you have and then come back and talk to me. And the rich young man goes, what? I'm not going to sell everything I have. So when Jesus tells us that, is that he's referring to, he wants to see where our heart is. Where does our heart align? Okay. And then the kingdom of heaven, this is from gotquestions.org. It's a really good one there. You definitely want to go to my link. The kingdom of heaven is hidden from plain sight. Yes, it is. It can't be perceived with our physical senses, like our sight and our hearing and our touch, right? However, people can see because those people whose eyes have been opened by the Holy Spirit will discern spiritual truth, and then they find the heavenly treasure that has been hidden. Isn't that like so perfect? Okay, it's also talking about the joy, right? Where it says, then in his joy. Okay, well, the joy that he's talking about there isn't a fleeting emotion, but it's a deep, transformative experience that reorients one's priorities and actions. Absolutely, it's that kind of joy, right? Okay, what else? Did I read all this? Okay, um, let's see, where did I get this from? Oh, I didn't put it down. Okay, you can't buy the kingdom of heaven. Okay, even though it's talking about sell everything you have and then you can buy the field, but you can't buy it. We really cannot physically take our money and go buy the kingdom of heaven. And you but you get it freely from Jesus, from God, because you want it more than you want anything else. So there is a condition, though, for having the kingdom, and it's not wealth or power or intelligence or eminence. The condition is that you prize the kingdom more than you prize anything else. Wow. And then the last point that I got, okay, another point of the parable, this has got questions. Another point of the parable is the surprising or accidental nature by which the value of the treasure is discovered, right? Because once our eyes are opened to the kingdom's incomparable worth, we are filled with profound and inexpressible joy. Okay, this is only the eighth verse, right? Oh my gosh, do you know how many words we have used to describe joy? Every day I have more words to describe it. It's profound, it's inexpressible, it's incredibly valuable. What else did we find out from today? That it's freely given, right? Okay, so that's all my little stuff. Now we got to figure out what we're going to put on here. So, because I made this as a treasure, and the point is like it's hidden, right? Like it's buried in the bottom parts. Should I put joy on the top, or should I put the word treasure on the top? I think I'm going to put treasure underneath. I think it's about joy. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to cut all this out, and then we're going to put it together. I'm back and I got it all done, and I'm very excited to share it with you. Do you remember in yesterday's video, and I apologize for the audio in that video, I have been having some very bad problems this past week. And I thought it was that I was too close to my phone because I used my phone. Anyway, I bought myself a new microphone, a separate microphone, and it didn't work either. So I think I've made the final adjustments and we're going to finish out this video and it will work. So yesterday I made this wonderful large flip that Debbie taught us how to make last week. And when I showed you where I put it, I talked about how I made it as a flip out because I wanted to keep the space here, because in this journal, I do not have enough space for I didn't do 23 pages for the 23 verses. So I'm doubling up, and that works out actually really well. So here's where I put it, and look how pretty it looks. I used Debbie's word fetty, where she gave us the first line of each of the verses. And I think it looks wonderful. It's all glued in. Now, I want to give you a couple tips. When you go to use a piece of ephemera that's actually larger than the top, you must be careful and make sure that if you put it on the top, you're okay, it's going to open. But if you start putting pieces inside and go over the fold lines from the top or the side, not going to work. It's not going to function. So be careful of that. So I put my joy on the front because I felt like that's what we're talking about in this verse, that it's all about the wonderful joy that we experience when we understand the kingdom of heaven that Matthew talked about, right? And then I opened up, and then I went from joy to it's a treasure. Now you see how this is sticking out over, but it still works, right? Then we flip this over. And so I've put there's the verse, the kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up, and then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. I learned so much by doing the research on this verse. I'm very glad that I took the time. And so I put some of the quotes in here. Now, remember what I just told you about putting something in over the fold line. Now, I knew that this was going to be okay because it's a really thin sticker. And so I just kind of really creased it with my fingernail, and it works, even though it goes over the fold. But if you were putting a piece of paper ephemera, be careful, it probably won't work. And then you flip this up, and then we used the music paper. And here, what I want you to think about when you use any of my printable kits is that I might give you a piece that's a certain size, but it might not work for whatever journal you're making in. But go ahead and improvise. Improvise means I cut this down because this was actually wider and it would go over the fold, which I didn't want it to do, but I wanted a little pocket here. And then I needed a piece that I could put the sticker on, that I could actually read it. And I looked in the papers, and this is actually a bigger piece. That's one of my Bible verse note cards that I put in all of my kits, and you just cut it down. So use what you have and don't be afraid to trim it and make it work. Okay, now see, this had to come down below that fold there, it wouldn't work. Okay, flip this up. And then I put the three things that we learned, that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of Christ, and the kingdom of heaven are all referring to the same place in the spiritual realm, right? I love this paper. Then you open it up, and I put that there's joy, and then there's the treasure that we've been talking about, right? And the notes from there. So we've got that there. Open this back up. And it was fun to use. This is a piece of paper from a free catalog. It's a... it's a flower catalog. Can't remember what the name of it is, but you get it for free. Let's open that up. Now, here we go again. I really couldn't put, that's the negative of when you use lots of word pages, right? Because where are you going to put your words? You're going to put them on and it doesn't work. So again, I used one of the note cards in there and put the information there. I made a little pocket. This is just from a piece of leftover that I cut when I cut this piece, and just put it on some cardstock and put that in, and then added the notes about the point of selling everything in this parable is very simple. It was to show where your heart is. We'll flip that up. Okay, well, see, I didn't have it down in there far enough. See, there's an example I just showed you. If you're over the fold, it's not going to work. Now we moved it down. Okay, and then there's the treasure again, and what was the point of this parable, and then I put all my information in there. So, didn't that just come out so fun? Yes, and it holds lots of information. And there we go. So that's what it looks like in my Rejoice Rhapsody journal. Let's look at what it looks like in the Scarlet Poppy journal. Okay, so yesterday we finished this fun piece. So when I flipped it over, I realized I'm just going to put it right underneath that fold. And I added a piece of Debbie's word art that says Jesus. And here's the pretty one that I made for here. So I printed 2 pieces of Debbie's kind of background papers back to back so that I could have them as double-sided. Now here again, I used a piece of her ephemera that's over the edge, but it's okay because it's on the front. So there's joy. We open it up. And again, you can't really put the words there, so I used another piece of her ephemera. And then flip this. Now, what is this? This is vellum, or tracing paper. And I spray it or I coffee dye it. So you could actually put the words right on there, right? And then I took a piece from her page and added some more of the wording. Okay, so then we're going to flip that over. And this is a piece from the concordance. I talk about in one of my videos about all the types of junk quote that you go collect when you want to be a faith artist. And one of them is if you can get a paper concordance.
Everybody used to have those 10, 15 years ago, but now the concordance is online. So there's not too many, but you can usually find them in a resale shop. So we used that, and then I took a piece of her background paper and put some of the wording on that. Flip that over, we got the joy and the treasure, and about the field is the whole world, right? And Jesus is the man who gave all that he had to buy the field because he wanted to preserve, he wanted to redeem the whole world, right? To preserve the treasure. And what's the treasure? The treasure is us, it's his people. So you open that up, and I put another piece of hers and added some more of the wording. And when you flip this over, we're at the very last page, and now it looks really pretty on her papers, doesn't it? So that just came, I'm just very happy. I hope that you haven't made this, and I got to teach you something new today. Now, the link, if you want to go watch the original video, which is from Natasha, is in my description. The link to my video, I have 2 videos where I've made this before. If you want to go watch that, you can watch those 2 videos. Now, 2 more points that I want to teach you today. Number 1, I talk about sticker paper all the time, and I decided I wanted to show it to you. So what happened is I bought a new Epson EcoTank 2850 printer, and the one that I had prior actually printed on vellum or tracing paper, this heavyweight. So I have a whole stack of it. And now my new one, it doesn't like it. And I've tried taping it to a piece of regular paper, and it doesn't like that either. So I really can't use it through my printer, but I wanted to show it to you. If your printer takes it, this is an excellent deal on Amazon. The link is in my description. Now, this is the one that I'm forced to use right now. It's Avery. And here's the key that you want to make sure you get matte, clear sticker paper. The reason you want matte is because when you print on it, it actually kind of fades into the background and you don't see it. There is a shiny sticker paper, and it does not work because you can see all the edges. It does not look good at all. Now, if your printer can print on the vellum, you're going to be happy because you get 50 sheets, and I think this is maybe $10 or $12. Okay, I used to buy this for $10 or $12. I just had to order some yesterday. For 25 sheets, I paid $22 on Amazon. So now you can understand why I maneuver and try and stick everything on one page because I don't want to have little pieces left. Okay. The links to this are in the description. Now, let's talk about that. I've noticed recently, I have all these people saying, well, where do you get that? Well, who are you talking about? Where are the links? So I've now realized that a lot of you don't really know the most important part of a YouTube video. When I post my videos, I take a lot of time to write a description, and I always have a section with here's the links that I mentioned in my video, and I put them there. And especially for the Exploring Joy that we are doing, there's a huge list of all the links of all the creators. There's the links to my kit. There's the link to Debbie's kit over on Ko-fi. And let's see, there's a link to Debbie's YouTube channel. There's so many links. But I'm figuring out that you all don't know that you have to click on the More button. What am I talking about? So I'm gonna add, I went and did I'm going to add a print screenshot right now on my camera, okay, in this video. Now, do you see the big highlighted yellow around the word More? If you did not understand that you need to click on that title bar, click on the word More or just click on the title bar, and then what happens? It opens up. See this next print screen? Now do you see all of the stuff, all the links that are in my description? So if you have not been clicking on the More button, you are missing so much information. This is not just me. This is any YouTube video that you watch. You have to click the More button to get all the information because, like myself, any YouTube creator usually says, oh, I'll put the link in the description. Oh, I'll do this. Well, if you've never clicked on the description, you've never seen any of these links, so you're missing a lot. So I wanted to make sure that you saw both of those print screens, okay? I'm going to close this video and I'm going to let you know that you're watching this on Thursday, okay? I'm filming it on Tuesday. This is, I had to make it in advance because, as I mentioned in the beginning, the original creator had a family emergency and was not able to participate in Exploring Joy. So I volunteered to go ahead and do it. Well, when I did that, I didn't realize that I was going to be having my surgery. So while you're watching this video, I am actually having surgery today. So I would just ask that you would, I would love your prayers. I would love prayers that the surgeon is successful, that he's very good at what he's doing, and that I can have a swift and easy recovery. I have to stay in the hospital today, Thursday night, but I get to come home Friday, and then I get to do my physical therapy. And what is my physical therapy? I think I mentioned this yesterday. My physical therapy is I have to eat every hour for the first 48 hours of having this medical device put in it's called a Lynx, L-I-N-X. So if you have any kind of severe GERD or esophagitis or anything like that, you want to look up L-I-N-X and find out about it. I'm having that put into my body, and it's going to be around the opening between your esophagus and your stomach. And I have to eat so that it will open. It's a set of magnets, a ring of magnets, so that it will open and let the food go into my stomach, and then it will close when I'm done. So I have to do that every hour. So just pray that that works and that I can do that. I'm going to close us in prayer. Would you please join me in the prayer that I've been using for the last couple of days? I think it's such a perfect prayer for exploring joy. Heavenly Father, thank you that the joy of the Lord is my strength and all of the people that are watching this video. Help me and them, help us to abide in you always, so that we may be joyful, fruitful, and bring much glory to you. And I pray that in Jesus' name. Amen. Please like this video. Please share this video. Please comment. Let me know if you enjoyed the project for today. If you have any questions or comments about what we've learned today about Matthew 13:44. And I hope that you are subscribed to my channel, and I will see you next time.